Tony at Zeiss. Primarily, we're going to talk about the new, I guess, E-Mount lenses, but then some camera tracking stuff that I didn't even know about. But let me know about, what are we, 1.5s?
Yeah, so there are new nano primes, which are all E-Mount lenses, and they're all T15. So they're super fast, they're super small, they're super light, they're super great. These lenses themselves, what's interesting about them
Light
is,
but sturdy.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You know, and you feel the heft of it in your hands.
That buffer is nice.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
So it really kind of comes out of the philosophy of the Supreme Primes. So often you hear about Zeiss. The traditional Zeiss look is very sharp, very color neutral, and very contrasty.
Yeah.
The Supremes for us was a shift to give cinematographers a little bit more of a look when they're working, a little softer.
To the Master Primes, which
exactly. Yeah. So Master Primes, the focus is either into focus or it's not. And the Supremes kind of have a nice gentle roll off.
Yeah.
These nano primes really align with those Supremes. So they give you that cinematic style, that character in a very small format that is ubiquitous. It works with all of the Sony environment, all of the Sony cameras.
Yeah. And is there an intention to make other mirrorless mounts, or are you kind of stuck on Sony?
Awesome question. We have, right now it's E.
You're right.
But we've included our interchangeable mount system. So there is the ability, should other licensing opportunities come along, for us to add additional mount styles in the future.
Well, we'll hope for Canon to kind of get off their high horse about RF, and then, which I only shoot Canon. I mean, I don't only shoot Canon, I own Canon. But that's been kind of annoying. Like, why did they brick everyone from
they had. I imagine they have a philosophy of the way that they want to utilize that mount through their own universe.
Yeah.
But should there come a time when they open it up to the rest of us, we're ready to include that in this lens mount.
Yeah, well, and depending on what Nikon does with red, maybe Z-mounts will take over the world.
We're all interested to see where that's going to go.
Yeah, we did an interview with them before, and they were like, we're just going to sit here and listen. And we were like, all right, well, great update. So these are the, and what are the focal lengths that are out
So
there?
it starts with an 18, 6 focal lengths through 100. So it's 18, 24, 35, 50, 75, and 100.
The classics.
Yep, exactly.
What is the, this is vaguely off topic, what the demand for some stuff like a 32 or a 40, or those kind of like not non-standard lenses? Because like Master Primes come in like a 40 and
yeah,
stuff, right?
well, and the Supremes come in 40 as well.
Yeah.
There is a lot of thought towards, I need something that's unusual. But people tend to shoot what they know or shoot what they like. So those lenses are available at times, especially like in the Supremes. But we find that, as you said, the traditional focal lengths are the ones that people gravitate towards.
Yeah, in my head, it's, correct me if I'm wrong, it's more of like, especially nowadays where a lot of people come from photography, these are more like photo focal lengths, whereas cinema standards all seem to be kind of those offbeat ones.
Yeah, well, and a lot
which I guess you guys are the reason why, because you were the first.
Well, and a lot of times I think that comes out of, you have a camera set up and you need just a little bit more or a little bit less, and that's why you'll see like a 24, a 28, and a 29.
Yeah.
Because people, rather than adjust your entire setup, you just change the lens a little bit.
Right. So these are very cool. I love the idea that they kind of, would you say they match with the Supremes, or they're just like could you intercut them if you had like
yes.
Yeah,
you absolutely can. So, and the color-wise, they all match, and
Sure.
that's one of those advantages that we try to provide for edit after the fact. But these really align with the Supremes, so you could use them as your go-to A camera, but also if you're shooting with Supremes and you need something that might be able to take a little more risk, or you want to use something in a B cam, these will match those just fine.
Wonderful. And a little fun thing is we've got the Milvis on this camera. We had a different zoom for all the other interviews, but now that's the Milvis 50 1.4.
Yes.
It's not new, but just for the folks, like the Milvis line, what was the kind of the impetus for that? Because it's been around for quite some time.
Exactly. So the Milvis was our foray into moving from SLR lenses to DSLR. It was a wholesale shift in the style, both optically as well as the camera housings, and it was intended for photo. But as you well know, photo lenses, a lens is a lens, and how you apply that can be a bunch of different ways. So in this application, we're using it for video capture, but it's also an excellent photography lens as well. It really kind of is in a hybrid space.
Yeah, and so what was now I'm just interested as a journalist, like what was the demand on the photo side that sort of kicked off the Milvis? Because I remember back in college, we ended up buying them or renting them, I guess, for the, I want to say 5D Mark II. Maybe Mark III at the time. I think it was the Mark II. Because at the time, the CP2s kind of they were fine, but for some reason we all gravitated towards the Milvis. Like, this is the real cinematic look, and it's funny to hear. It's like, no, those are photo lenses.
Well, the difference is we had the classics that everybody had grown to know and love, which were great, but once cameras moved from film to sensors, the accuracy that was necessary to provide light to the sensor increased. So all the things you loved about a lens on a film camera suddenly kind of became things that were like, oh, this is the problem.
Right.
So we took
especially those early sensors.
Exactly. So we took the position to make a better lens, a lens specifically for digital sensors, and build that into a full frame coverage. And while we were at it, we came with a new body style. It was also change. You'll hear the old guard guys talk about, oh, I have a distagon or I have a planar. Right. And those are optical designs internal to the lens makeup that still exist, but what we did is we changed it over to more of a family style philosophy. So Milvis is DSLR lenses for Canon and Nikon, Batis is autofocus for Sony, Loxia is manual focus for Sony. So it was more of a family philosophy in how the lenses were developed and put together.
Awesome. Well, let's talk about the camera tracking thing.
Yeah, so what
we can just walk over.
We're kind of taking more of a holistic look at capture and acquisition. Nowadays the image is fantastic, but you need all the data around it. So even if you're on a green screen or not, you need all of that data for your editing or your post or any type of compositing that you're doing. We had come out with a metadata standard based on the Cook/I some years ago, which provided, in addition to those 16 parameters that Cook that standard gives you, we added shading and distortion out of the lens. So you don't have to map the lens. We actually provide that. The lens itself is mapped, and it will provide you that on a frame-by-frame basis. So that allows you to strip all that away, do your compositing, do your match moving, and then put the look of the lens back on.
That's fantastic.
So that's the
metadata.
VFX
people love you guys.
Exactly. And it makes it easy. It's very fast. It's very efficient. It's right there. You don't have to do any extra work. Add to that, you nowadays in a virtual environment or even volumetric, you need to know the camera position.
Right.
So in 3D space. So we've added what we're calling the Zeiss SynCraft scenario, which is a camera tracking solution that is very portable in nature, but also provides you not only that camera tracking, but it also melds in that data, metadata from the lenses, and puts that all together, provides that either as an export to files for use in VFX and post, or you can do live composites through Unreal and actually marry your virtual and your real world together in real time.
And so is that where the thing that's traditionally where the Preston would go?
Yeah, exactly. So that's our camera bar, sorry. So that's the camera bar, which is actually one of the things that we provide that's to our advantage, is the ability to track in the natural environment. So what this is doing is it's looking up to the world, it's decided what is a fixed position and map that to create a star cloud. So now that we can track that in real time, and we can do that anywhere. We can do it on a set, we can do it in the real world, we can do it at your house if you need to be able to track something. As long as it's a fixed position, we can track against it. So we provide the ability to do that in any environment. That information is sent down to what we call the link, which is aggregating that and the lens metadata and sending that to the server. All of this is controlled in a web browser, either through a an off-board computer, or even if you had an iPad standing behind, you could calibrate this, set it ready to go, and be able to capture that data with internally with what we call the Wrangler system, which will grab that data and hold it for you on a clip-by-clip basis.
Awesome. And you don't need a internet connection for that. It's just all like
what
do you LAN?
Yep, exactly. It's compartmentalized, so it can work either sending directly to somebody who's compositing live on a studio, or let's say that you're like, oh, I got to get out and I got to shoot this thing on a stoop in Manhattan. Well, great, let's do it. But we need all that data because that's what we're collecting. We can go and we can set it up in 5 minutes, calibrate it very quickly, and be able to move that fast on a set or off.
Very, very cool. Well, I'm as a cinematographer, I'm definitely more excited about these. But
Awesome.
That's I didn't even know you guys were getting into that. So
Yeah,
it's very cool to see.
Well, it's all it's really what's happening in front of the camera, and that's really what we're interested in as a holistic approach. All of that is the data and the visual elements are necessary. So we're trying to provide that as a package to the cinematographer.
Awesome. Well, appreciate the run through.
My pleasure.
Yeah, thanks a lot.
Thank you.